We now live in a time where there are luxury items that everyone seems to want. These aren't your typical new phones or Air Jordan sneakers. These are some popular watches. But sometimes the shoe just doesn't fit. A lot of people may love these watches that we're about to show you, but some are just overrated. In fact, some of the most overrated watches are from the most well-known brands, which rely more on their reputation than the actual quality and features of the watches themselves. People with tons of money are buying watches, flaunting them on social media, and ramping up the watch's secondhand value. People are happy to spend ridiculous amounts of money simply to own one, and anyone who can grab them at retail is considered a genius. Today, where the super wealthy get even richer and the poor get poorer, this is what drives the rising trend in watch prices. Welcome back to Above First Class. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. In no particular order, here are the top 10 most overrated watches ever. Number 1. Richard Mille. Made quite well but aesthetically unappealing and at a ridiculous price. But Richard Mille, as a brand in terms of a wide market appeal and simply being known as an independent brand with production, is remarkable. Although it's not everyone's cup of tea, you have to admire that they've managed to accomplish in the last 20 years to become known. They're being talked about by rappers and athletes alike. But it basically seems like this watch became a mere flex piece for a lot of rich people, and they do a fantastic job just promoting the brand. When Drake mentions your watch in a song, you know it will have an impact. In many cases, it's actually just a marketing scheme, but they do create high-quality timepieces. They collaborate with a number of specialists to create their movements and cases, and they put in a lot of effort to deliver a high-quality overall product. Number 2. Tiffany Blue Oyster Perpetual. Unquestionably one of the most overrated watches ever. We're not just saying it's overrated. We're saying it's much more overrated than the Daytona. There's no direct link here to Tiffany with these Blue Oyster Perpetuals. In our point of view, it's just a ridiculous trend that's happening here. They must have seen the new Nautiluses with Tiffany dials, and these in turn began to appreciate in value. These aren't actually selling for the list prices. This watch is not even close to being worth that much. But wait till you see these pre-owned prices. The prices on the secondary market are completely insane. Tudor Black Bay Chrono. This watch has received mixed reviews, but there seems to be more negative reviews than good, despite the rest of the line receiving highly positive reviews. Traditionally, the Black Bay collection has been dive watches with lovely vintage elements such as the famous and beloved snowflake hands. The chronograph, however, is not a dive watch. It's water resistant to dive watch standards, but it doesn't make it a dive watch. Overall, these are still certain aspects where they can improve, like the thickness for example. Despite the fact that they made significant improvements over earlier forms, they still wear well on the wrist. Maybe people are simply tired of how hard Tudor is pushing the Black Bay, but they must recognize that from their standpoint, they are selling and people aren't sick of them. Number 4. Omega Seamaster Professional Design. It's a total mess. The helium escape valve is unsuitable for the design, the skeleton hands and over-designed dials are mismatched. However, I don't believe you could deny what this watch means for modern Omega. In the 1980s and 1990s, Omega was a very different brand. Omega had a bad time in the 1970s. The quartz crisis affected them a lot in many cases, but I believe this design helped them get back on track. So I understand why Omega has stuck with these themes in their collection. Number 5. Kurono Tokyo. Simple movement and dial design, but a bit dull. I think that the case's finish looked nice from the outside looking in, and I want to give them credit for that. I like the overall look of the dials. These timepieces are now worth thousands of dollars. This may well be one of those watches which is a point of discussion when dealing with limited production. When you're not creating a lot of watches, it doesn't take long for the scales to tip for the market to become entirely inconsistent. This time, I believe, is one of these instances. I know for a fact that great-looking watches would appeal to a specific type of customer, and that even if the specifications and what is given are not in that price range, most people would still go for it. I genuinely think that even the list prices are a tad high to begin with. I'm not sure if these premiums are reasonable. Enjoying this video so far? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Number 6. G-Shock GA2100. Although these aren't true G-Shocks, they're a decent starting point if you're looking for an entry-level Casio G-Shock. These don't have the same feel or approach to what they're trying to do, and they have a few drawbacks. But people are drawn to them because they have a different vibe. I don't think they're much at all like it for $100. I'm sure there are tons of other G-Shocks, but when something like this would sit right and get many people fired up about it, it's just that perfect type of social media storm. It's pretty clear why they've been so successful. Number 7. Sinn 556i. Don't get me wrong, Sinn is a fantastic company, but it's more expensive than its competitors and it lacks the case-hardening technology that made Sinn so famous. It's a good all-around watch, but it's overrated. The 556 has gradually increased in price over the last few years, and as a result, they're becoming less relevant than they once were. Yes, you are receiving some top-notch movements, but you have a limited power reserve. There haven't been any modifications to the bracelet in years. The clasp is usually where people put it down. It doesn't have the same degree of value as it did years ago, which is a shame because for a number of years it was one of the best daily all-around watches, but that time has passed. Number 8. Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch. Yes, it's completely overrated. That isn't to say it's a bad watch. Not at all. However, it will never be able to live up to the reputation that has been built around it. If you overlook the watch's legendary history and classic design, you're left with a timepiece that looks like it was in 1969. A slightly more detailed design dial and a more contemporary bracelet would be enough to make it look exciting. I see why the manufacturer is hesitant to make significant changes to this historical icon and why the latest edition goes even further back to the model's origins. Number 9. Seiko Alpinist. Seiko is a remarkable brand that strives to keep high-quality automatic and mechanical timepieces affordable. But there seems to be a lot going on with this watch. Based on its appearance and price, it's a bit overrated. They simply kept introducing new features. The specs are actually good enough. With a green dial and a date, you'd think you couldn't go wrong. And you'd be right. The design, on the other hand, is rather outdated and uninteresting. It's a nice-looking watch, but it lacks a bit of personality. Number 10. Casio F91W. We've been hit hard by the luxury watch industry that we've come to expect famous timepieces to be expensive and unreachable. And that an affordable watch with character and a great history like a Casio F91W is perhaps the most wonderful thing imaginable when it's actually just a front door. It's only a watch that can do the bare minimum. Water resistance is extremely low. It can be splashed and submerged for short periods of time, but that's it. It's not advisable to wear it when taking a shower or going for a swim. The backlight for night viewing is pretty dim. It barely works, but that's about it. Finally, there's that strap. It's a Casio resin strap, which means it'll fall apart after a couple of years. If you own one of these famous watches that we've highlighted today, congratulations! But seriously, these are all still excellent watches, and if they bring you joy, then good for you. What are your thoughts on these overrated watches? Please let us know in the comments section below, and if you loved the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time above first class.